How about financing for deals? I mean, you give advice on where the leverage markets are at, and what are you seeing firms looking for? What kind of terms are they getting? How is everything looking?
Financing it's available. It tends to fluctuate. A lot of volatility in the financing markets. It's also based on the type and the nature of the deal that you're doing, the size, but it's there. People who work a little harder, they can get the financing that they need to do deals, particularly in the middle market space. And I think that's why one of the things we're seeing is a lot of deal activity in that upper middle market space because the financing terms are more favorable and easier to obtain.
I've heard that terms aren't quite as attractive as they were at the beginning of the year. Have you heard that they've gone down as well?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that based on the deals that we're seeing. I would say they're not as attractive as they were, earlier in this year. But again, there's such volatility in the financing markets that, literally week to week, you see changes in terms.
Are people concerned that the same thing might happen this year that happened in the second half of last year, where activity just drops off based on Europe and based on concerns in Europe?
I mean, that's always a concern. It's a concern of mine. Although, I've been doing this for 17 years, and I've been through many different cycles. And I can tell you that starting with about last year, the historical seasonality or cyclicality of private equity has almost gone out the window. One of the busiest months we had doing M&A work at Alvarez Marsal was actually last August, which typically has been one of the slowest months for deal activity. But there was a huge uptick as people wanted to access the public and private markets before Labor Day last year. And then, due to changes in the economy here and abroad, a lot of things got pushed, and then we had the slowdown that you're referencing. This year, the market started off pretty robust, I would say through May. Now that we're in the summer, we're seeing some of the typical slowdown that we'd expect. But who knows? My personal view is I'm bullish for the rest of this calendar year at least. I think what folks in the industry and the private equity industry are anticipating are potential future federal tax law changes that may be enacted before the end of the year or at the end of the year. So what you may see and what we're hopeful is an acceleration of deal activity into 2012 to get ahead of the anticipated tax law changes.
So tell me about what you're doing here today at You Think and how you've been involved in the connection with private equity.
Sure. Well, Alvarez Marsal is one of the lead sponsors here of the You Think State of the Market. I've personally been on the board of You Think for many years. You Think is a great organization because what it does is it brings together the best minds in business together to actually work in helping youth in the New York City area. So what we're doing today is we bring together, like I said, the best minds of business to give sort of a state of the market update, what all these various people believe, just like the questions you're asking me, what they believe is going to happen, and try to look at what we call the path forward. And that's actually the theme of today's conference is the path forward. Getting all these best minds together, trying to get some level of consensus or healthy debate, and then changing that into also how we can have a positive impact on the community, and particularly those organizations that are sort of at the grassroots of serving youth in the New York City area.